as Child in this video just because mostly everyone knows him as that name. And it's a lot more easier. Now, as I always say, in every single character overview, this is just my opinion at face value as to what they are possibly able to do in a Xiao team comp. Whether it's via support, sub DPS, burst support, whatever. You guys can give your own opinions in the comments below. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong about a certain feature of a character. Totally fine. You guys have the whole comment section to yourself. As you guys know, I always respond to most of my comments if it's on builds or anything like that. And yeah, with that being said, let's get right into the video. So Childe. Is Childe good for a Xiao team comp? If for elemental reactions, no. But if you want to use Childe as a sub DPS, totally fine. So, getting into Childe. Childe E. Now, Childe's E. If you were going to use Childe for E, for elemental reactions, for Xiao to proc swirl when using elemental burst, how would you possibly do that? If you gather enemies, let's say with sucrose, right? Or you just gather them naturally. Basically, you would just go around and proc Childe E, start applying hydro onto enemies, and you just go into Childe's elemental burst, come up, come down, rinse and repeat. That's all you'd be using Childe for. So if you're gonna use Childe for that, not really worth, honestly. But let's say you guys were using Childe as a sub DPS. Well, as you guys know, with Childe's E, it does have a cooldown, and you don't want to use it as long as possible. Because let's say you use it up as the max time, it gets really long on its cooldown, and you do not want that to be the case if you're using Childe as a sub DPS. Now, you could probably improvise between that time, between Xiao and Childe. But for Childe gameplay, I would say you just want to swap in Childe really quick, do some extra damage with E, possibly use elemental burst, gain the energy from elemental burst with Childe, switch into Xiao, get the energy from Childe's elemental burst onto Xiao, start using Xiao's E, gain more energy, use Xiao's elemental burst, rinse and repeat. Also applying your support's damage as well to get more energy, something like that. For Xiao team comp, not everything needs to be a support. I feel as though, in my opinion, a Xiao team comp would consist of Xiao, Sucrose, or Venti in slot 2. And for slot 3 and 4 would be your healer. And the 4th slot would possibly be a burst support, another healer if you really want to do that, or a sub DPS for you to have more flexibility in your comp. Because not everyone wants to go Xiao main, well, they want to go Xiao main DPS, but not everyone wants to just play Xiao DPS in the comp. Some people may want to play other things, and I like to acknowledge that. So, that's basically what you do for E. The reason why I went over to E for longer than I needed to was just because Q, you don't really need my opinion on the Q. The Q, we all know Childe's Q does a lot of damage. That's why you shouldn't resort to Childe as just a reaction bot for Xiao. You could, but you shouldn't, because Childe on his own does a fair amount of damage. Now, going to passive talents, obviously, talent 1, you can't really argue with that. Normal attack level up by 1, definitely good for a team. So if you want to put Xiao just in for that, you can. Sub DPS as well, can't really argue with that. Passive talent 2 just extends Riptide duration. And then it says for passive 3, when Childe is in his melee stance, or if his normal charge attacks do crit damage, they apply Riptide status onto the enemy. Just more Riptide stacks overall. And then going to constellations. So, Constellation 1, obviously good. Less cooldown. Can't really argue with that. Now, with this right here, Constellation 2, him gaining 4 more elemental energy, really good for a sub DPS child. Okay. After that, honestly, there's really nothing for me to explain after Constellation 2. Like, after that, child is just a really good DPS, and there's no reason for you not to use Childe as a sub DPS on a Xiao team comp. If you're gonna put Childe like a C6 Childe with a Xiao, you're 100% going Childe main DPS or sub DPS. That is totally up to you. So, at the end of the day, is Childe good for Xiao? Yes, as a sub DPS. As a elemental reaction bot, no. I believe that you are able to do that. I will never disregard the possibilities of a character just being used for something like that. You can do that. Or you can use the bow and just proc it that way if you want. But do I feel as though that's optimal gameplay? No. Just use Childe as a sub DPS. Childe is really good. You might as well just do that. But with that being said, that's the end of the video. So, hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you're watching this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one.